Thank you, Madam Speaker. Under the leadership of Speaker Pelosi, Chairman Schiff, Chairwoman Maloney, and the many other members who contributed to this legislation, the House took a major step today in repairing the damage to our democracy wrought by the Trump administration. Time and time again, we saw a president who placed his personal interests above the national interest, who sought personal enrichment above all else, who weaponized the Department of Justice, who welcomed foreign interference in our elections, and who used the pardon power to reward his allies and protect himself. And when Congress sought to exercise its oversight function and to hold him accountable, he brought stonewalling to a new level and tied us up in court for years as he followed through on his promise to fight all the subpoenas. That is why the Protecting Our Democracy Act is so urgently needed. After Watergate, Congress learned the lessons of the Nixon administration and enacted a series of landmark reforms to prevent a future president from abusing the power of the presidency as Nixon had. A few generations later, in the wake of the Trump administration, which systematically worked to erode transparency, evade accountability, and upset the system of checks and balances that is so fundamental to our democratic order, it has become clear that a new set of reforms is necessary. Although many of the provisions of this legislation draw directly on our experience with the prior administration, they are pointedly not anti-Trump measures. Rather, they are forward-looking, and they protect against future abuses by any president of any party. I am especially proud of the reforms in this bill within the Judiciary Committee's jurisdiction. We add much-needed transparency to protect against abuse of the pardon power, and we reaffirm that pardons may form the basis of a bribery scheme. We also reaffirm that self-pardons are prohibited, adhering to the principle that no one should be a judge in his own cause. We ensure that the presidency is not a get-out-of-jail-free card by pausing the statute of limitations on offenses committed by a president or vice president to preserve the ability of prosecutors to bring them to justice after their term is over. We ensure meaningful enforcement of congressional subpoenas through a streamlined and expedited court process to ensure that no administration can evade accountability by simply running out the clock through years of court delays. And we work to prevent political interference from the White House with the independence of the Department of Justice by ensuring that logs of certain communications be recorded and periodically reviewed for any improper communications. These and the other provisions in this vital legislation will strengthen the essential guardrails that protect against unchecked executive power, and they will help restore the American public's faith in our democracy. I appreciate the leadership of Speaker Pelosi, Chairman Schiff, Chairwoman Maloney, and the other distinguished members who helped craft these critical reforms, and I look forward to working with them to see that this legislation makes its way to the President's desk without delay. And it now gives me great pleasure to introduce my colleague of longstanding from New York, a distinguished chairwoman of the Oversight Committee, Carolyn Maloney.